All right, everybody, welcome to the Freedom Cast podcast. We're here with Rebecca and Joe Weaver. They've been in the fitness industry for a long time. They came by the shop one time and started talking, and I found y'all's story fascinating. So I wanted to have them on the podcast. They're locals here in Cornelius, North Carolina. So thanks so much, guys, for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for...
It's going to be entertaining.
Yeah, you never know what you might get.
I'm looking forward to it, guys. So can you introduce yourselves individually and then talk a little bit about how you guys met? I'm curious.
Ooh, all right. Well, do you want me to go first?
Go ahead and eat that mic when you're talking.
Got it. So my name is Rebecca Jackson Weaver. Most people know me as Jackson. And we met in 2010? 2010? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, 2010.
Yeah.
Because you were stalking me at the Arnold on the live stream.
No, we were already talking. You got to introduce yourself. Who are you?
Oh, yeah. Joe Weaver, obviously her husband. But, yeah, I don't know.
No, okay, so obviously we've been in the fitness industry for a very long time, and people in the fitness industry kind of know everybody in the fitness industry. It's just one of those things where if you're competing or doing whatever, you kind of know who's in it. At the time, I was pretty active with Universal Nutrition, Animal Pack, their forum. They had an online forum that everybody would get on and talk about their training, their supplements, and whatnot. And he was part of that group.
Yeah, so I was doing a lot with Animal. And so it's a pretty tight-knit group, honestly. And it's changed a lot, but back in the day it was really tight. Like everyone knew everyone at what they were up to, and we were friends on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I used to just laugh like, who's this chick bouncing all over? But I was intrigued, So that's kind of how it started.
You lived here. I lived in Northern California, just outside of San Jose. Yeah, so I didn't even live anywhere close to this area. I was living in a little town, Morgan Hill, in California, and
yeah. So
we'd banter back and forth on Facebook.
Yeah, it wasn't crazy.
Dating myself because back now Facebook I think is a little bit more obsolete. Nobody's using Facebook anymore, but maybe a little bit. But we would banter back and forth and finish posts and here or there kind of. And I had posted. It was Valentine's Day, and I posted I was going to the gym.
Yeah.
He was like,
and I slid in her DMs.
What are you doing at the gym?
Yep,
and
literally.
I said, am I supposed to be doing something else? I don't. What are we getting at here? He was like, well, you're not going out anyway, and you don't have a date. And then I was like, no, I'm going to the gym.
Yeah, literally like shot my shot, and then it wasn't even 6 months, not even, and you'd moved from there to here.
Yeah.
So my mom's like, you're an idiot. This is a blind date you can't get away from. And I was like, shit, she's right. What am I doing?
No, you kind of skipped over a bunch of stuff.
But I'm just saying.
Yeah, we're like, hey, you slid into my DMs, and then 6 months later, we were.
You never know. Never know.
Yeah, so then we started talking, and of course, the time difference was so crazy, and I was the health and wellness director for a facility, and so I was working full time, and I would get home and I'd do stuff with my kids, and then I'd go to the gym about 10 o'clock at night. And I'd pound some pre-workout and stuff, and he's already in bed, and he's like, you're crazy. Why are you like pounding all this caffeine at night? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to the gym.
Yeah, it would be
You'd be in bed.
Yeah, it'd be 11 o'clock at night here, and she's drinking coffee and getting ready to take pre-workout. I'm like, 3 hours difference. I'm like, it's still not like that early out there. And then she would come home from the gym all wired and want to talk, and it's like now 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, oh my God, I got to be up at 6. Like, this is going to be awful. And it was like that until.
No, then I bought a plane ticket, and I came here for 2 days. Literally, it was Yeah. It was a turn and burn back to.
Yeah. I picked her up at Charlotte, and
we had never met in person. We had only
Seen
knew each other online. So I had never. My girlfriends were like, no. And my girlfriends were like, "You're crazy. He's gonna kill you and bury you somewhere."
Yeah.
I'm thinking it'd be fine. We're good.
It's hard to like picture, but like she had this long fire engine red hair.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so she comes down the escalator at the airport, and you see pictures of people online, right? You don't really know in person like what you're really gonna get, right? And I all of a sudden I see her, and I'm like, holy shit, what do I got going on here? Like she's wearing UGG boots, like booty shorts. Just like a tighter t-shirt, but like jacked as shit. This bright red hair, and I'm like, oh hell, I'm in for it now. Like, the second guesses were like, do I run now or do I hang out? And
I don't know who he is.
yeah, we like look at each other like, yeah, we're out. Sorry, no. But
that was the flight though. I did get I got hit on that flight.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Coming. The flight. One of the flight attendants, she was like, "Here, I'm supposed to give you this note," and I was like, "Oh, okay." And it was a handwritten note, and it said from the intrigued person in aisle seat, blah blah blah. And I couldn't see the person. They never looked back. They were in front of me, and it was this handwritten note about how I was the most intriguing person on this flight. I was like very flattered. Yeah. And then I was like, I was so nervous to get off the flight. They were trying to stop and talk to me after, and I was like, I'm just going by. But it was two girls that were like, you're the most intriguing person on this flight. I was like, I think I got hit on. I don't know. I got a compliment. It was weird, and I'm nervous.
You were gonna get raped.
and I'm here to see someone I've never met before.
Yeah.
Like, great.
Yeah, this is awkward. No.
I'm like, this is weird.
Was that that's the trip where it was the ice cream, right?
No, that was the cheeseburger. That's the first thing that we
what
did. We
sealed
went
the
to
deal.
eat, and most people, bacon cheeseburgers are the way to my heart.
And it was a done deal from that.
Yeah.
I was like,
a bacon
hey,
cheeseburger was sold.
Yeah. Because then the second time was the mint chocolate chip ice cream.
With peanut butter.
Yep.
He showed up at the airport. He did.
Yeah. It was probably the only time in my life I've actually paid attention to what she said.
Literally,
Remember?
the only time. Because
she's
in
like,
prep,
you never do anything sweet like that anymore. I was like, well, I was trying to seal the deal, not like blow it. Now it's like we've been together for God knows how long.
I know. Yeah, he did. He showed up at the airport the second time I came with mint chocolate chip ice cream and peanut butter, because those are my two. I dip into the peanut butter and then into the ice cream, and then, this is the best. And you got the correct mint chocolate chip ice cream, because it's got to be the green one. It can't. No, it can't be the shaved chocolate. I'm particular. It's got to be the chunks of chocolate, and it must be green.
So I did good.
Anything? Yeah, you did good. You listened. Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, no. Fitness industry and health. We're all about it.
We need chemicals and artificial colors. Right. Yeah. It tastes great.
Yep.
Nice. So 6 months, and you moved.
Yeah, so I came back in February. Valentine's Day.
June.
February, March, April, I came here the first time. May, and then June I came back.
That's when we went to the beach,
that's
or?
when we went to the beach. And I kind of threw him to the wolves. So I come back in. I said, okay, I'm coming back in June. And my family goes, we go to Ocean Isle Beach, and we have been for my entire life. Before I was born, I'm the youngest. So my parents started it. And then every year, the same time, the same place, we're all there.
I made the trip from California to Ocean Isle just for vacations.
Well, I grew up in Ohio. So, I went to school at the University of Toledo, stayed there for many years, worked for the YMCA, and then transferred to a larger Y in Northern California. So, wasn't always there. But, so my entire life going there. And so I thought, well, I'll fly in. It's only 3.5 hours to Ocean Isle Beach, and I'll take you down there with me. And you're literally going to meet everyone in my family
Dude,
in one place.
mom, dad, brother, sister, kids, aunt,
Spouses.
and uncle, like the full damn family. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so she hits there, and it's like
vacation.
Hold on, I know, but she gets there, and it's like straight buzzed. I'm having a good time with my family. I'm on vacation, right? I'm drinking like triple Jack and Cokes and cannot even get a buzz. I'm like uncomfortable can be, and I'm like, I'm gonna leave this bitch here. Like, I'm not doing this. I'm miserable.
And I was like, these are my people. It's vacation. Let's go.
Yeah, she's partying up, and I'm like, I don't know anyone. Like, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna hang out with the little kids, I guess, which is weird. Now I'm the creepy guy. Like, I don't know. Like, yeah, it was weird.
And you didn't. It was fine. You survived.
It ended up being okay until your mom tried to show me her boobs.
Oh man.
She's like, I have the boobs of a 20-year-old. And I'm like, oh, yeah. She's like, oh, look. And I'm like, I bolted. I was like, but you had to meet her mom to understand.
Yeah. No, my mom was,
Like,
famous for making people really uncomfortable.
Yeah. And I had no damn clue, right? I don't know these people. And all of a sudden I'm like, what in the hell am I in now? Like, this keeps getting weirder. Like,
and just to throw it out there, she did not show her boobs.
No, she didn't. But the threat was enough.
She did not.
Yeah, I ran. I was going to swim with great whites before I was going to see her boobs.
I mean, she was proud of her boobs.
Yeah. So that's how we met.
How long was that vacation? Was this like
a week? Yeah, we weren't there a week though.
It wasn't a weekend. It was.
You were in it for like.
Yeah, I was there to stay. And I'm like, man, I'm gonna leave her ass here. Like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, my family growing up, we didn't do those kind of things. Like, we were very like, I never went anywhere unless there was a reason, like an event or something. Like, we didn't do my family split up super early, but yeah, it wasn't like, oh yeah, we're gonna go just vacation. It was like, no, we're going to a race, or we're going to this, and so I wasn't used to it, and I was like, well, my family don't act like this. What is this? Like, I've been super independent since I was about 10, so it was like, people get along like this? Like, this is weird. Like, I don't even know what to do. Yeah.
That's a week vacation for you.
Yeah.
Oh, it scarred me.
I bet.
I've been nervous to go back to the beach every time since. I'm like, oh, hell. What's going to happen this time?
Yeah, and then I flew back, and I think it was probably 4 weeks later, I moved officially.
Yep.
I quit my job and packed everything up. And
what made you want to move? Like, because I mean, you're moving all the way across the country to finish that. So, like, at that point, what was it? You just knew he was it.
That was it.
Yeah.
Nailed it. No, yeah. I mean, there was a lot of things. It was kind of as far as being away from family, with kids, it's, I'm there kind of by myself. The people that I worked with, certainly, but I was kind of done at that point. I didn't want to really manage anybody anymore. I was just burned out with that, being, supervising everything that I was doing. And it made more sense. And he was like, hey, if you want to. I think you threw it out there first, because I was just like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what I'm doing. It doesn't make any sense. It's like incredibly expensive for a single person with 3 kids. That's in Northern California. So
fun fact, I didn't even realize she had kids for like the first 2 months we had talked.
This is how clueless he is.
I like literally never stalked her Facebook.
This is how clueless.
So I never saw pictures.
They're all over my Facebook.
Yeah, I know.
Those children are not hidden.
I was just like, hey, whatever.
Like, wait,
like,
what?
This is who she is. And all of a sudden one day she said something about doing a photo shoot or something with the kids, and I'm like, wait, whose kids? I'm like, oh shit. See, this is where the story gets even weirder. I'm like, oh hell. Now, because I don't know how old I don't even know how old I was, but I was like, okay. Like, I really got to get my shit together now.
How old were you at the time?
I don't know. Early 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shit, no, it was before that.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Well,
'Cause I'm 40.
Late 20s, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, late 20s.
God. Yeah, so I don't know. And it's been great, though. The kids have never been a problem. Like, I get along with them great. So.
Yeah, but I was like, how did you, what do you pay
she's,
attention
like,
to?
furious
First of
with
all,
me,
I'm
like-
talking.
And I'm like, how do I, like,
I'd be on the phone with you and they'd be in the back seat. Like, I'm talking to them. Quickly.
yeah, they're
don't
really
know.
well behaved. No.
They still are.
Yep. So.
Yeah.
So you came over here.
So I came here.
Oh God.
And
you want to
so
talk about where we've all lived? Because that's probably an hour-long episode by itself.
yeah, true. No, but I came here, and two, I mean, I had done a show in Northern California, so I did my first ever show was the NPC Contra Costa, which at the time, and it might still be, it was the biggest show in Northern California. People are like, "Why are you doing that for your first one?" And I was like, "Well, go big or go home." I had a point to prove. I knew really kind of nothing other than just like. Knew that I was into fitness. I worked in fitness. I liked it. Kind of, I saw these people competing, powerlifting, strongmen, and, the NPC and all of this stuff. And I had friends that did it. And I thought, all right, well, I'm a mom. I had thyroid cancer, so I don't have a thyroid anymore. It's completely gone. And I was like, well, what better way to kind of prove a point to not only myself, but to my clients and just my background, do a show. Yeah. No idea what I'm doing, but I'm going to do a show. So I had my first coach was out of the Bronx, an IFBB figure pro, Catherine Ramirez, coached me for that first show, and she did it all online. She actually flew out for the show. She did my tan for me. And I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. But I grew up on a stage. I danced, did musicals. So I have no problem being on a stage in front of a bunch of people. I didn't care. And everybody backstage was extremely nervous. And they're like, aren't you nervous? And I was like, should I be nervous? I don't know. Like, I'm just going to like walk out there and do some quarter turns because I did figure. And I walked out, I got second. In a class of like 18. What? Yeah. And I was like, this is pretty cool. I was like, that was easy.
No,
let's do this again.
She's a weirdo, dude. Like, you put her on a stage and it's like comes to life. Yeah. Because you did Kevin's show. Well,
then I came here. When I came here the first time, and the very first time, he took me to Elite. I was like, ooh, I like this gym. This is cool. I like the vibe, and this is my style. I love it. And I started, and after the Contra Costa, that was when women's physique first came on the scene. That was when it had started. It was like, okay, now we're going to give these girls that have a little bit more muscle a foundation for that. Because at the time, the NPC didn't want, they were trying to get away from women's bodybuilding, but that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were trying, they didn't want the women to be so big, but they wanted to give the girls that could have a little bit more muscle a foundation or a platform for them. And they wanted figure to be a little bit more, not as muscular. So I was like, okay. And Catherine at the time looked at me and she was like, well, you need to decide. Because after I did that show and I started training again, she was like, you either need to stop lifting or you need to figure out which class you want to be in because you can't lift this way. Because I've only ever lifted and trained with guys. So for me, I'm like, put another 45. What are the 25s?
Yeah.
Don't exist in my world.
Yeah.
Nothing else. It's like, no, I'm going to do what you're going to do. And I still lift that way. So, I mean, don't tell me to put a 10 on there and do reps of 30 because I'm going to.
Not going to happen.
No, not going to happen. So she said, you need to pick because figure is not going to be it for you at that time. So I was like, all right, cool. We'll shoot for women's physique then. And I started training. And then when I came here, I was like, ooh, okay. This is cool.
Yeah, Kevin got a hold of her.
Is the pool
So-
smaller, so you're able to? You're probably a bigger fish in a smaller pond here too, right? If you're competing in, was the California show like a national show for NBC over there?
No, that was one of the local ones. So that was it was a qualifier for nationals. So yeah, at that time, and I think at the time you had to place, it was top 5. And now I think they've shortened that. I think it's top 3 now.
Yeah, something
To
like
get,
that.
yeah. So back
Okay.
then it was, if you placed top 5, you qualified for nationals. And that's of course in the open class, unless you're doing, I think, masters. But, so I came here and started working with Kevin. I'm like, all right, well, cool. Let's do NC State. And they were like, are you nuts? That's the biggest show in the Carolinas.
Won the overall.
Might as well. And but actually, I have the Chris Hollingsworth gave me the banner. So that's me on the right in the purple. Yeah. So I got the actual banner for the next year because they put all of the overall winners on it, which is cool. And I remember at check-ins, they already had the trophies out, and we were standing waiting in line for check-ins. And Ashley Rajkowski was behind me, and I walked up and I kind of rubbed the overall trophy, and she goes, "What are you doing?" I go, "I'm just letting it know that it's coming home with me tonight." And she was like, "You're killing me." Yep. And I was like, but the funny thing was, after prejudging, Ashley said to me after we were walking back to the hotel, she goes, "How does it feel to know that you won your class?" And I was like, "No." She was like, "Yeah. How does it feel? You're gonna win." And I was like, "No," because I didn't believe it. They were like, "Are you kidding me?" And I was like backstage, like, "Oh, I'm not even gonna place." And they were like, "You're nuts." Totally thought I wasn't gonna place.
She blew.
Totally winged my posing routine. They were like, "Do you have a posing routine?" And I was like, "I'm gonna wing it when the music comes on."
You winged
Yeah.
the posing routine?
Yeah, I was just like,
Yeah.
I kind of knew what I was gonna do. I was like, all right, I know I need to hit these poses. I know I like the song, and I'm like, I'm just gonna go out there and do what I want, and I did. Yeah.
No, yeah, I'm telling you, it's like, it's stupid. Like, she walks out into those lights, and it's like, there's no like stress, there's no anxiety. It's like,
Which is half the battle for bodybuilding.
Right.
right. It's like walk out into your living room
Yeah.
and just do your routine as practice. That's what it looks like out there. And she's like doing air guitars and shit. And people
Yeah.
are like, what the hell?
I posed to Pink.
Yeah.
So what?
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, the place went nuts.
So remind me, I know there's different categories so physique is the more muscular side
Yes.
of bodybuilding. How does fitness fit in there? I don't
That's where they do the tumbles and
Yeah.
flips.
So and now they have oh, why can't I think of it? The new category.
wellness.
They have wellness now. So yes.
Yeah.
They are very quad and glute dominant. And they don't want them to have a muscular upper
Brazilian
body.
class.
They want their arms and their shoulders and everything more less in wellness. Yeah, they don't want them to have big upper bodies. It's a soft upper body and
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a genetic based class. Like at the
Totally.
pro level, you can't build it. Like you can build it, but you can't. You got to have it in you. It's not like you're gonna just go, "Oh, I'm a bikini girl, now I'm gonna be a top level wellness girl." It just doesn't happen that way. Like it's just you got to have big quads, big glutes, like, and you know it's the stuff you can't buy. It's got to be.
Yeah. Well, you can buy it.
Well, yeah.
I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
You can buy the glutes part anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
not the
true.
quad part, but the glutes. Yeah.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
So you won overall there.
Yes.
Okay. You were in attendance, I'm assuming? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of crazy because I'm like, because I'm watching her diet and I'm like, she's a freak. Like I didn't see the first show she ever did, right? I just saw the pictures, so I'm like, okay. But I'm watching, this. And I'm going, holy shit! Like she diets easy, like trains harder than anyone I know. Like what the hell? You're a freak. And then Junior USA's was a nightmare. After that,
Yeah.
Because we're like, oh hell, we got this in the bag. Like she's, and it wasn't that. We're just looking at what's out there, right? So it's like, okay, we got this, or at least in the realm.
Yeah.
And Kevin and Trey and all those people are hell-bent, like, you got to bring her down a little tighter. And we showed up, and those girls were water buffaloes. They were huge.
They were big. I was
missing definition like crazy.
It was crazy. I was
and
like,
she was like
they're...
third, fourth call out.
I was in fourth call outs.
Yeah.
At Junior USA's. So they'll do top 5. So first call outs is your top 5 typically. Those are the girls that they really like. And then they'll judge them. I was fourth call outs. They were soft. They looked like they hadn't dieted.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. So when there's so many girls, they judge the norm. And I was peeled and shredded.
Oh, wow. So if you come in soft...
If I was bigger and softer, I would have been judged against the norm. But because I was the only one up there that was literally just peeled and shredded.
Yeah.
Understand about bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Well, it's subjective. It's so subjective to whatever is kind of going on, you know. And then you got, that's a whole nother story. But
I remember standing backstage at that show going, these are the bodybuilders. I'm in the wrong line. And they're like, no, this is women's physique. And I was like, no, it's not.
yeah.
It's like, what is going on?
And that was, is it a national?
That was Junior USA's. It was a national show. So that's the national shows are where you get your pro card. So, and then after that, I stopped competing for 10 years.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Yep.
So just
Didn't do anything.
Yep. We went on a nationwide
World tour.
Yeah. We were all over the place.
Yeah.
We,
Living.
we lived in, I wrote it out one time.
Charleston,
6 different states.
South Carolina, Holland, Michigan,
Like 16
Reading,
different
Pennsylvania, and then back to Southern California.
We lived in Michigan and back again.
That's
for a
why I said
minute.
Holland,
okay.
Michigan, yeah.
Yeah, because we went from here to Charleston to Michigan, Michigan to Reading, Pennsylvania
to Southern California.
And then we lived in a few places there, and then came back because we just got sick of California.
so why all the travel?
Yeah, Joe, why all the travel?
Sure, bring that up.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah, please.
She
please
doesn't have
explain.
any resentment or anything for
Please
it.
explain.
Witness protection. No. No. No, like, one of my guilty traits is, like, I'm going to try this.
Okay.
And I'm like, fuck it, let's go. And most of the time, she was like, cool, yeah, let's just run it and see what happens. Sometimes she was a little standoffish, but I could convince her normally. I mean, she's still here, so obviously I did.
There was only one of those moves that I was really reluctant on, so...
Understandably.
Yeah.
Was it mostly was it mostly job related or just?
Yeah, it was job related for him.
So,
yeah. I was along for the ride.
Yeah.
Moral
Yeah.
support.
So, like, I feel like the fitness industry anyways, kind of peaked, like, early 2000s, and then it died off a little, and then, like, 15, 16, it kind of came back, maybe 13, 14, 15, it was, like, real strong again. And I had a company called Area 51 Industries, and I built custom gym equipment and all that. So, yeah, basically I ended up partnering with Rob and Dana with the Warhouse Gym, and that's what got us to Reading. But that was like a year-long process to finally get to come to life. So basically we were leaving Charleston to go there, and then he kind of called the deal off. Like, well, we need to wait. We need more time. Well, I'm like, fuck, okay. So I literally went back home, her and I, and was like, okay, we got to chill here till we figure it out. And then we went there, did that fiasco, and finally I was like, all right, I got to do something. I got an Instagram message from a guy that was filming a TV show, and he's like, I need your skill set. And I was like, yeah, fuck this fitness industry. I'm out of here. I'm done. And she's like, what the fuck you mean? Like, she didn't want to be in Pennsylvania by any means. It wasn't a good fit for her or me, really. But
I strongly disliked Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I loved what I did. I did love the people that I worked with. And I was training in a really amazing Pilates studio and doing some personal training in a gym. So I liked that aspect of it. But everything else kind of that came along with it, not so much. So
yeah. So then I was like, all right, we're going to California.
Yeah, well, when you said you did ask though, and you said he wants me to come out and talk about filming
Yeah.
a TV show, and I said, well, what do you have to lose? Go see what he has to say. You know, the most you're out is a plane ticket to California, and he said, all right. So he flew out there. Again, met with these people you'd never even met. They're really good friends now.
Yeah.
Really good
I've
friends.
never met him. And he's
And-
like, yeah, just stay at our apartment.
Stayed at their
So I'm with
yeah.
him and his fiance, and I'm like,
This is weird.
okay. And the funny part is they were big fans of Rob and Dana. So I'm like, oh, hell.
Well, that's how he met. That's how he found
yeah,
you.
So he was seeing me on Rob's YouTube videos and stuff. And, you know, just randomly he realized, like, oh, you do a lot more than just build gym equipment. And so I was like, yeah, I built a lot of cars in my life. And it went from there.
No, and let's tell the real story. So you flew home on a Thursday and said, yeah, I start work on Monday. And on Friday morning, he was waving goodbye with his clothes and his tools in his vehicle, and said, I'll see you in California in a few months. Figured out.
I knew she was a
Because
strong,
I
independent
couldn't,
woman.
yeah, because I couldn't leave. Aiden was finishing kindergarten, so I was like, well, the school year's almost over. I at least have to stay for him to complete this, and then I have to pack up everything in the apartment and figure out how to do all of that, how to even get it to Southern California, first of all, and no problem.
I didn't
with
have a problem.
you have no problem. As
I
I'm
told you,
standing
I
on the
have
sidewalk going, oh, okay, what just happened here?
Yeah.
All right. So I was you were in Southern California. I was in Redding for about 2 more months. Packed everything up, shrink wrapped most of the stuff to a pallet that was in our friend's shop. And then I actually drove to Ohio and I stayed with my parents for a few months before I finally made the trip to Southern California.
Yep.
What? Okay, now I'm curious. You mentioned a show. Do we know what the show is?
Yeah.
Has it aired?
Oh yeah, it aired a while ago.
It was in, I mean, obviously this was...
Chop Cut Rebuild.
Yeah, 2015 or 16. It aired for 3 years in Canada. 2 years here on Mav TV. So yeah, it was fun. It was a experience, but
Yeah, that whole it was an experience.
yeah, we'll leave it at that. That's a lot. But
Were you taking cars apart, putting them back together?
we're building them from scratch.
Oh, interesting.
And they
So-
unveiled it at SEMA
yeah.
that year, which is that's the
Vegas.
Vegas. Yeah.
Yep. So we were actually. This will explain that whole chapter. We were filming final video, and we were up on the tram in Vegas, and we're filming the final shots and like conclusion stuff. And my buddy's like waving to me behind the camera, and I'm like annoyed, like, what the hell are you doing? I'm trying to film this and not look like, hey, what's going on over there? Well, anyways, the filming ends. I'm like, what? You know, he's like, dude, the shop got seized. Like, the dude hadn't paid his rent in months. So, long story short, like, I got screwed like 40 grand probably in money. My tools are now in a seized building. My back just went out. Like, it's just a nightmare thing. Finally, we get it. And, like, she's having to move it because I can't move. Like, I'm all fucked up. And, yeah, it was a mess. So that pretty much sums up our initial move to California. Is like, okay,
I'm
burned
a saint.
we burned up all reserves staying alive because I wasn't getting paid and like all this bullshit. Yeah, and then we still didn't. So, oh man.
So you spent 2 years burning up cash reserves only to never get paid and lose 40 grand.
Basically.
Damn.
Yeah. So then, but I'm like, we can't really leave California because we don't have the funds to get out, right? So now we're
Can't
stuck
leave.
here in hell. And
No, I liked Southern California. It was not bad.
It's just expensive, right? So like, I ended up finding work, and she found a good gig, and everything, pretty much worked out. I still was fighting my demons of like, I'm just gonna, fuck this job. Like, this is stupid. I don't want, like, I'm done with it. Which, looking back, I gained a ton of experience on a lot of different stuff. Whether it'll all pay off in the future, we'll see. But
Is that the T-shirt?
no, this is my buddy's company out of Mesa, Arizona. So, yeah, he's a badass. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It was.
So at this point, you've done. Daniel and Bailey. You've done the TV show. What were you doing before that?
When I met her, I was working at a NASCAR team, a brand new NASCAR team called Michael Waltrip Racing. And I was there for 7 years. And I was the 6th full-time employee hired. And the funny part is, well, not funny, but I was good friends with our like head dude. And one day he was like, man, if we get one more, like, get caught cheating or something, we're gonna be in trouble. So that's kind of what started the whole process of like, okay, I need to start opening my eyes to doing something else. And then I don't know if it was a disaster or a blessing or what it was, but
Shortly after
as soon as I quit, they got caught and they closed the place down.
Were they intentionally like doing stuff?
Yeah, I mean, that's racing. Yeah, that's racing. So you got to push the envelope. The problem was we were new and we didn't have just a track record, right? So it was like these big companies are dumping millions of dollars, and all of a sudden their name's getting tainted by a team that just got started. And we were one of the first Toyota teams. So Toyota wasn't happy about it. And then, it went downhill from there.
Walter, isn't that crew still around, or did they just reform?
I mean, we're all kind of scattered all over, but Michael's still doing TV for
NASCAR.
For like NBC or Fox or something.
Like the Michael Waltrip News Network or something? Or am I?
No, I think you're thinking of something else.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a mechanical background, I'm assuming then.
Yeah, a lot of fabrication, mechanical, design.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So from the TV show, basically frying me, I had a job building like custom bicycles for. You ever hear GT bicycles?
I feel like
super popular, right? Well, they sold out to China years ago, and then the dad and son are still in business, but now instead of GT, it's Gary Turner. And somehow I stumbled upon that deal, which was not lucrative at all.
Well, because Aiden started racing BMX.
Oh, that's right.
BMX.
Yeah. And I was building frames, which was cool because I got to learn a shitload about that. And I mean, literally, a living legend was teaching me, so it was really cool. But monetarily, that wasn't the deal in Southern California for me. No. It's just
No.
I was there probably over a year.
Yeah.
Something like that. And then I went and built off-road race trucks. And then went to Australia.
Yeah.
Built.
You went to Australia and then came back, and then we both went to Australia.
Yep. Building an off-road truck down there for a guy.
he just wanted you around to do that for.
So basically, our network in Southern California was pretty popular, I'd say, to say the least. And they, this guy like knew I was on TV, but he knew my skill set. So he was like, "Hey, like you could make this come to life." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, like whatever, let's go." Again, just like, cool, let's jump on a plane and take off. Like,
he's like, "I'm going to Australia." Okay.
Yeah. And then,
or that's still what, a 30-hour trip? How many hours?
No, it was 11-hour direct flight.
Yeah.
From LA, no, to Brisbane. It wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
Brizzy, as they call it.
Is he?
So yeah, and then
you
hell, I don't even know.
the flyer.
Yeah, and then I
the
ended up
defense
working for
contracting
a
company.
defense contractor, traveling around building specialty military vehicles and training people and doing all that. And then basically like obviously you live out in California and it's like, okay, you got to make a shitload of money. We're living in Huntington Beach.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not.
So I'm like, okay, like we're doing okay. We're doing, but I'm working my guts out. COVID hits, everything slows down. So now it's 8 hours a day instead of 16. And they start talking about moving me to a base to train people how to use the vehicle and staff to fix them. And they were talking about Fort Bragg in Fayetteville. So I was like, hell yeah, I'm in. Like I quick run the numbers in my head. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to save $40,000 a year because my pay's not going to change. Let's go. Long story short, the dude that was presenting all this to me basically gave me a green light. It's going to happen. He never even had authorization from the owners of the company or the contract sealed to do it. So at this point, again, Joe goes, fuck this, let's roll. And she's like, said, you always said you'd move back there. Like,
Yeah, I did. I had a great job at the
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
I had
she
a
had a
really good
good job.
job. I was back health and wellness director for the YMCA in Orange County. So, yeah, I sobbed putting in my 2 weeks notice in my boss's office. I was like, I don't want to leave. I love it here. I love my house and the weather and the pool in the backyard. And
here we are.
and here we are. Rain, humidity, and bugs.
Yes.
Yay.
Yeah. So it's been a journey, man.
But you didn't go to Fayetteville.
We came here.
Yeah, because I was like, what's funny is we were driving across the country, and we were in Texas.
Neither of us had any jobs.
Yeah, we had nothing lined up. We literally said,
Nothing.
"Okay, we're going."
I was like,
So when you quit, you found out that this was not a deal, and you just had to go.
Basically. So.
he's like, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I've
Figure it out. It's fine.
I'm like a cat. I'm hopefully don't shoot myself in the foot, but I've always landed on my feet, like when I've been able to make wild moves. So I was like, fuck it, I'll figure it out. I always do. Like I always figure it out. So as luck has it, I'm in a U-Haul truck driving across Texas. Fucking, my phone rings. I'm like, what the hell is this? And, hey, this is Mo. And I'm like, Mo. Who the hell's Mo? I was the boss at Michael Waltrip at. And I was like, oh, hey, what's up? Because I heard you're moving back. And I was like, yeah, sure am. He's like, you got a job? I said, no. He's like, come see me Friday. And I was like, oh, cool. And he's like, well, where are you at? And I told him, I was like, I'm in Texas. And I asked him, where are you at? And he's like, Hendrick. And I was like, oh, fuck. Like I said, I'd never work there. Those guys are too uptight. So on Friday, I went in, and they basically hired me on the spot. And I was like, all right, cool. There's one stress reliever. Then we got to get her something. So, but I mean, throughout that whole journey, though, there's so many pieces of it. Like, it would take so long to break it all down. Like my God, it was. At one point, you were a janitor, basically.
Oh yeah, well yeah, in Holland.
Yeah.
I
'Cause I
was
had a
cleaning
shop.
a factory. I was cleaning the offices in a factory, just to, yeah.
Yep. So it's been a hell of a journey.
Because that fitness is not big in Holland.
Yeah,
like
there's
none of the
nothing.
gyms there. Holland,
Michigan.
Michigan. And
nothing.
it wasn't. There wasn't really anything. And the Ys, I don't even think the Ys weren't hiring. And I was like, I don't know what to do. There's only do so much prefabrication for Area 51, which I did. Yeah, I did all of the prefab work. All the cutting and measuring and tacking of parts. So for Area 51.
Yeah, she'd be doing
spray painting.
She'd be doing air squats over there running the bandsaw, and I'd just laugh. I'm like,
And
what in the hell?
freezing in the middle of winter in a shop. We'd run the heat, and it still wouldn't get warm.
It'd be 35 in the shop, and the furnace is just full blast. Like, I mean,
So cold.
it'd be -15, -20, wind chill on top of it. Like
The
we had
winter
a
we were
brutal winter that
the
year.
winter we were there, Lake Michigan was, they said, 99% frozen over. And it was the first time in like years it had been that frozen. So Lake Michigan is huge.
Yeah, it's
99% frozen.
It's like 90 miles wide.
I feel like it's like that every year up in Michigan.
Yeah, it's brutal. I hate it. That's
Insane.
why I moved away.
Yeah.
So the whole time that you're moving around, you're basically just finding wherever you can. It sounds like you were mostly connected with YMCA's, though.
Yeah, I was. So after college, I was working in a private studio. I thought I wanted to do physical therapy and was like, I don't want to do this. I wanted to have hands-on approach to who I was working with, to be able to kind of facilitate their care and their need, basically, because I heavily focus on rehab and injury prevention because of my background with athletic training for school. So I wanted to rehab people, but I didn't want to be a physical therapist. So I went to New York, got my full comprehensive Pilates certification, which is amazing, and was working in a private studio. And that was all I was doing, just seeing private clients, and I worked with an NBA player. That's how I got my nickname, by the way. I'm the Iron Chick. So it's been with me for years. Jim Jackson. He was actually an anchor. He was an Ohio State alum, and he has a house in Toledo. So, yeah, he's still an anchor on the Big Ten Network. Let's see, yeah. It was kind of, it was fun. He'd come in and do Pilates. So 6'6", yeah, big guy, and yeah.
So you're doing Pilates.
Yeah, and with that, I was recruited. That was my first YMCA job. So I was training the VP of operations, and her and one of their health promotions directors would come in and do Pilates in the studio. And then she called me one day and she was like, "Hey," she said, "there's an opening for the health and wellness director position down at the Y that's attached to the corporate office." She said, "I want you to go down there and tell him that I sent you." I said, "Oh, okay." So I went down and I had lunch with the director, and he was like, "Basically, you're hired." And after they hired me, the facility that we were in it was an old hospital kind of. There was a gym in it, but there was some hospital rooms and stuff that they had not in the one part that they hadn't done anything with. And she said, "We're going to gut these rooms and we're going to turn it into a Pilates studio. What do you want in here?" And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" She's like, "No, what do you want?" She goes, "We're going to turn it into a Pilates studio." Picked a floor, picked the dimensions. And so built me my own Pilates studio within the facility, which was amazing. And then she could just walk down from her office and do Pilates, so she didn't have to go to the studio. She didn't have to pay for it. She figured doing that is a lot easier than paying for private lessons. So, yeah. So I had that, and typically YMCA professionals want to go to a bigger budget. They kind of move up. Most of them stay. They're lifers in the Y. You want a bigger position. You want, eventually to be the director of some sort. So I actually interviewed at several YMCA associations, trying to go to a different one just to get out of Ohio. Florida, interviewed in Florida, Northern California again. Northern California and Florida both flew me out for the interviews. And the Florida one was the strangest interview I've ever had. It was 4 or 5 days long. I met everybody in the association. I met with realtors. I met with the schools. They had all of it set up for me. Came back home, and the director called me, and she was like, "Oh my God, you were amazing. You have a great career in the YMCA. Your energy, you're outgoing. You're such a strong candidate, but we're reposting the position." I was like, "Come again?" That was the weirdest "you didn't get the job" ever. And 4 days of it. And then she explained after I was like, "Wait, what? Hold on, let me get my bearings for what you just told me. You just complimented me and then said no." She said, "After we met you," she goes, "I would have killed your Y career." She said, "We want this to be solely admin behind a computer doing, that's the position that we're kind of looking to build." And she's like, "So it was the health and wellness director, but they had a health and wellness coordinator that was kind of doing things, but she didn't want the membership side of it. So she was basically the face of the wellness department, and then they wanted that director position just focused on retention and member retention and driving numbers and doing that. And she goes, I would have killed you. You would have been so unhappy. You would have hated it here. You would have hated it. You would have quit. I said, well, thank you for recognizing that. And then California flew me out, and I got the position, so I left. So
is that, sorry, not to plug into finances too much, but like I would have figured a Pilates studio, especially with like NBA players, have been far more lucrative than a position at the YMCA. But maybe I'm not understanding how that works.
Yes and no. They pay quite a bit of money for Pilates, especially where I was. But the YMCA, their benefits are amazing. Their retirement plan is amazing. What they match for your retirement is insane. It's unheard of. So the benefits kind of outweigh that, and especially with a family. And I'm very fortunate. My kids, I would bring my kids into my office, hang out. It's big. Or if I need to go get my kid and do something, I can go and do this. I can go and do that. So on that standpoint, yes, it took me away from kind of doing what I ultimately love doing, is just working with clients one-on-one, but it gave me a little bit more flexibility to kind of be a mom and do the things that I needed to for my kids. So that was more beneficial. So
when you came back here, you reconnected with Kevin and then just started working at Elite, or did he call you?
Yeah, no. So we came back and we joined Elite, because why would we join another gym?
Right.
Why would we join anywhere else? Came back to join Elite, and he had somebody in the position and I did some other things here and there. I was coaching boxing. Yeah. Yeah. It was kind of fun. But then the person in my position was like, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to move. And I'm buying a house. He was buying a house at the time, but it was far away. So he was like, hey, you want the position? And I was like, I don't know. I'm working with Kevin. But ironically, so Kevin's business partner, Jeff, I worked with him when I was here prior. Very first time. So I was a personal trainer. And so I've known Jeff for just as long as Kevin. And Jeff was like, I know who she is. I know how she works. And that was then
it was kind of just
fell in line.
Yeah, everything just kind of fell into place for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. All right, were you what are you still doing there?
So I'm the GM and trainer. So I do train clients. Yeah.
He's connected huge into bodybuilding too. He started, where did Kevin start in that?
So
supplement sales and stuff.
Yeah, he Europa.
Like Europa.
Well, I think
BPI,
some. Yeah.
Something. Yeah.
And then he had, now it's Katie Promotions, but he had Main Stage Muscle with a partner, and that was their platform for the shows. And now it's just Katie Promotions. It's just him. That's so.
How, from a standpoint of your kids, how are they reacting to this insane, like, all over the place moves and like constantly shifting? I'm sure there's.
Aiden doesn't care.
Well, he might. I don't know. Like he's gotten the brunt of it. The older two have not.
Yeah.
He's the one that's kind of like, okay, do I have friends? I don't know if I have friends because we're moving so much.
He went to 4 different elementary schools?
He went to a lot.
Well, he went to 2 different.
No, he went to 3 different schools for kindergarten.
And
he started in South Carolina.
Yeah.
And then transferred to Holland, Michigan, and then finished in Reading.
Yeah. But that kid he's shy. He's getting out of it now. He's 15, but you can kind of just drop him anywhere and he's fine. So I'm hoping it actually works out in a weird way that he's just good with whatever.
Or he's going to have a large therapy bill.
Yeah. It's going to be college loans, but for therapy.
Yeah, right?
I can probably sit with him and maybe resolve some of my stuff.
Nice.
But
So at least he'll have 4 years of high school. He is, set.
Is he in with the whole like fit family thing? Like, is he in?
Oh
he
yeah.
trains. He trains. I mean, the kid's
He gets mad if he doesn't get to go to the gym. He's like, "You're taking me to the gym, right?"
Yeah, he's got a 315 deadlift. He does
Just 135 and
for a couple
bench?
bench,
Yeah.
squats, getting close to 300, and he's only 135 pounds maybe. So he's
on the lacrosse team.
Yep.
Followed in his brother's
I
footsteps.
just saw I won a championship on your page. Maybe that wasn't recent, but I thought
They won a game. Yeah, and well, then they won. They did a tournament that they won.
Yeah, they won an overall in the tournament deal.
Yeah.
It's a good group of kids.
Yeah,
We're the
really
odd
good group.
parents. For sure.
What did he say? He goes, the kids on the team call you scary mom.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll take it.
So
tell him not to mess with me.
The first team meeting, right? All the parents get together. Her and I went and trained, and then we went straight to the school. So it's like she rolls in there in a tank top, and like I'm got to get pumped. She's got to get pumped. These parents are looking at us like,
We walked by the head coach, and he goes, I see where Aiden gets his skill in the weight room.
yeah. And it's like, oh hell, here we go. Like, great. So
Yeah.
but he don't
Yeah.
listen to me. Aiden won't listen to us for advice.
I know
He'll go
nothing.
to TikTok and figure out his fitness advice, and I'm like, all right, dude. Whatever.
He'll listen to everyone else but me. I'm like, you're right. I know nothing. I've never trained an athlete. I know nothing
Yeah.
in the gym.